Hey guys, welcome back. This time I'm presenting my updated Trickstar deck post September 2018 ban list. I'm surprised, Trickstars are still at full power. I'm pretty happy with that because, I play Trickstars. Trickstars is another one of my favorite decks. After Blue Eyes, this was the one deck that I completed shortly after, and yeah, they were like my top two most competitive decks aside from Lair of Darkness, which came later on, but yeah, Trickstars is still, like one of my personal favorites. I still love the deck, and all the possibilities. So this variation kind of like expands a little bit more on the Trickstar's link capabilities. Especially like Holly Angel and Crimson Heart. Those are the main two Trickstar link monsters I actually play. But I have ways, to get them out a little bit faster, make them into more viable link materials for my stronger monsters. And yeah, well, let's get started. So starting off, we're gonna run, 3 copies of Trickstar Candina. This is one of your primary searches of the deck. When this card is normal summon, you can add any Trickstar card from your deck to your hand. 3 copies of Licorice, which is literally the best card in the whole deck, because it burns your opponent for adding cards from his deck to his hand, including drawing as well. So 200 points, and that eventually adds up. And with Trickstar Light Stage still being at 3, that can be quite a bit of a hindrance. And Candina burns your opponent for 200 points for every time your opponent activates a spell or a trap. But it's really Licorice is the one that adds it up. This time we're adding 2 copies of Trickstar Mandrake. This card is actually a really good plus because if you combo off with cards like Twin Twisters or even 1-for-1, this card literally special summons itself back once it's discarded. It doesn't matter if it's a cost effect or not, as long as it's discarded from your hand. But you have to banish it when it leaves the field. But it says here, if this card is sent to the graveyard as link material for the link summon monster, you can target one monster your opponent. You can target one monster on an opponent's link monster points to, destroy it, and you can only use this effect once per turn. But you don't. But half the time you don't usually use that effect. But if you're able to pull it off, that's great. It's a free pop as well, so Mandrake's not that bad. We're running the 1 Trickstar Nightshade just because you don't really want to open up with it. But if this card is sent to the graveyard as link material, you can special summon it right back. But it only works if you use it as link material towards a Trickstar monster. Just bear that in mind. But you can special summon it, but like Nightshade, you have to banish it when it leaves the field. But it's actually not a bad card. It comes in handy when it really does, so that's why I like to use it. And of course, the last of our Trickstar engine, 1 copy of Trickstar Lilybell. Like Nightshade, you don't really want to open up with it, but once you add it to your hand, you can special summon it for free. And when it does battle damage, you can add 1 Trickstar monster from your graveyard back to your hand. So it really helps out with the Firewall OTK combo. So yeah, definitely a great card. So these are basically the standard, let's see, 3, 6, 8, so 10 Trickstar monsters. And I feel like that's the correct number. So yeah, Trickstar monsters, definitely play these and give them a try. Just see how you guys like them. And yeah, I really enjoy this deck. It's a lot of fun. It's pretty competitive still, so probably going to be one of the best decks to play. We're running 1 Cyber Dragon, for Mega Fleet as well. Just because, it really pulls through and you never know when you actually need that Cyber Dragon, because extra linking still exists. And as I mentioned in my Blue Eyes video, Cyber Dragon can cancel that out, so yeah. We're running 9 hand traps in total. We're running 3 Ash Blossoms, pretty standard, one of the best hand traps ever. 3 Drolls, just because like I said, Trickstars are still at full power, so the Droll and Trickstar combo still works. And 3 copies of Retaliating Sea, and as I mentioned on my last video, it's really good because this basically is Banisher of Radiance or Macrocosmo, but whenever your opponent activates a spell that can special summon a monster, and trust me, I know that sounds situational, but if you pay attention to today's meta, or even the one that's coming up, a lot of people rely heavily on spells that special. So like 1-for-1, Goki Rematch, Monster Reborn, Soul Charge. Like, it's just one of those cards that, like once you summon it, and by the way, Retaliating Sea, while it's face up on the field, any monster or any card that would normally go to the graveyard gets banished instead while it's face up. So that means like your opponent would either have to be forced into his battle phase, destroy it, and play another card. And just know, Retaliating Sea's effect is not once per turn, so you can literally special summon another one if your opponent attempts to special summon another monster using a spell card. But it's really good because like that means your opponent's gonna be stuck. Anything that goes to the graveyard, he's just gonna lose all his materials. So this is pretty much struggling against anything, and that's why I thought Retaliating Sea was definitely a great hand trap to play. And it doesn't go to the graveyard; it gets special summoned, so it's safe from Called by the Grave. Even though it's down to 2 now, it can still be a bit of a problem, so that's why Retaliancy I thought was definitely a must for this. Alright, so that's it for the monsters. It's 20 monsters, 20 spells and traps. I've tested this out. It's really well balanced, so I really like the way it plays, because this deck is more back row heavy, so that's why I like to run it this way. So moving on, of course, we're going to be running 3 copies of Light Stage, surges out 1 Trickstar monster, so it comes in handy. 2 Terraforming, now that it's semi-limited, but not a problem, I can still run it at 2, so that's pretty good. Now the card that's now semi-limited, Scapegoat, but that's not a big issue at all, so Scapegoat definitely helps out quite a lot. For consistency, I decided to run 2 copies of Pot of Desires. I thought it was going to hinder me a lot, but it really doesn't, so Pot of Desires is definitely a great card to run. Very, very relevant, so yeah, 2 Pot of Desires, great card. And to deal with Floodgates, Twin Twisters, which combos off really well with Trickstar Mandrake. So even though like it's a 2 for 2 with Mandrake, you know, you technically plus on a free summon. So Twin Twisters, definitely a good card just to deal with those Floodgates. And yeah, you definitely want to get them out off the board as quickly as possible. And for the singles, of course, we got 1 for 1. Raigeki, which will definitely probably see some play quite a lot more again. And Monster Reborn. And that's it. Running 6 traps in total. Kind of like Dark Magician, actually, now that I think about it. 3 Torrential Tributes, just because, you know, you want to be able to clear our boards as quickly as you possibly can. And Torrential Tributes at 3, so I definitely make use of that. And, of course, 3 copies of Trickstar Reincarnation. People thought it was going to get hit. Did not. Like, Trickstars literally avoided the ban list big time. I mean, yeah, Terraforming's now at 2, but that really doesn't hurt the deck. Same thing with Scapegoat being at 2. It doesn't really hurt the deck. But hey, I'm not complaining. I love the fact that it's still at full power, so I can't complain too heavily on that. So, moving on to the extra deck. We run mostly Link monsters. The only fusion monster I have in this deck is the Chimera tech, but we'll get to that last. So starting off, we got 1 copy of Holly Angel, just because it's one of the best Trickstar Link monsters. 2,000 attack and defense, or just 2,000 attack, I'm sorry. I almost forgot that they all don't have defense points. But whenever a Trickstar monster is no more special summoned to its Link arrows, you inflict points of damage, and it gains power for every time your Trickstar monsters inflict damage. Then we have Trickstar Crimson Heart, which is basically one day of peace. You can discard 1 Trickstar card. You and your opponent get to draw 1 card, but if your points are higher than your opponent's by 2,000, you get to draw 2 cards. And also, whenever a Trickstar monster is summoned to its Link points, you get to gain 200 life points back. We got Underclock Taker. It's pretty standard. Really comes in handy. 1 Akashic Magician. Definitely a great card, because when it's co-linked to 1 monster, you can excavate the top... you can declare 1 card name, excavate your deck equal to the number of link ratings. So, like, if I was co-linked with Space Insulator, for example, which is also linked to, you get to basically excavate 4 cards until you find a copy of the card you called. Which, speaking of which, next up is Space Insulator. An amazing card, just because, you know, it's just requires 2 monsters in general, and makes it real easy to summon some of your Link 3 or 4s. So yeah. Next up, we got 1 Link Spider, you know, just to make use of those scapegoats. We got Hip Potion Gun, just, you know, give our Trickstar monsters a power boost, because, you know, Trickstars still have a problem with beating over high attack monsters, and this is the card that can really help out with that. Just an added bonus, I decided to add this in, Pentastag, just to give some piercing damage for some of my stronger monsters. So, like, all monsters that are, if a Link monster attacks a defense position monster, inflict piercing damage, so great card. Ib, World Chalice Priestess, keeps you from, while this card is co-linked, if I'm not mistaken, or this linked card cannot be destroyed by battle or card effects. So yeah, as long as it's linked, it's a good card. And just, yeah, just to have some added protection. But to go along with our Ib, we now run Ningirsu, just to get a little extra draw strength. You know, if it's co-linked with Ib, you get to draw 1 additional card. For Link 3s, we got, or other Link 3s, we got Trisbana. Pretty hilarious in this deck, you know, combo off with Scapegoat, banish the tokens, banish all spells and traps out on the board, and inflict 500 points of damage for each one. So, definitely a great card. 1 Transcoat Talker. Really good card, because it brings back Pentastag just to get that piercing damage, and plus it gives monsters 500 extra attack points that are co-linked to it. Deco Talker, standard, and of course, the Heart and Soul Firewall Dragon, which kind of happy it got banned, kind of happy it didn't, but you know, it's a really good card, so at the same time, I'm glad I didn't sell mine, because that would have really hurt. And lastly, the one Chimera Tech Mega Fleet Dragon, just to take out those extra link boards. Alright, so going on to the side deck, we're running 2 Honest. Pretty good card. I mean, most of the Trickstar monsters, or if not all Trickstar monsters, are light attributes, so I figured Honest was okay. 2 Eater of Millions, just because, like, it outs Boral Sword and Boral Low Dragon, so yeah. 2 Forbidden Dress, because, you know, Infinite Impermanence is still a thing, and this card's really good to deal with that. So yeah, Forbidden Dress, definitely a great card. 1 Upstart Goblin, and 1 Dark Hole, just because you never know. For the traps on the side, we have 2 copies of Drowning Mirror Force. You can also do Stormy Mirror Force, whichever one you prefer. I just like Drowning sometimes too, because, you know, bounces when your opponent declares a direct attack, and by the way, that means Altergeist, like, forget which one that does. I think it's Millerstick. I could be wrong. Just correct me in the comments. Or Multi-Faker, one of those two. Because when they declare a direct attack, you can bounce them all back into the deck. And since those cards usually have to make direct contact anyway to activate their effects, Drowning Mirror Force is definitely a good card against Altergeist. Invokers have a higher chance of, you know, getting back. So we have Curse Seal of the Forbidden Spell. If you use that on cards like their Magical Meltdown or Invocation, but of course you probably have to get rid of that Magical Meltdown first. You discard 1 spell, and that card can no longer be used for the duration of the duel along with any other copy of it, so that's why Curse Seal is a great card. And for other cards, you know, just to deal a little, to do the Drone Lockbird combo a little faster, we got the 2 copies of Disturbance Strategy and 1 present card. And that's pretty much it. And with Dangers, you know, that's going to be like, of course you don't really want to use present card against Dangers. Because due to the ban list the way it is now, it looks like that's what they're pushing on, is like they're trying to push Dangers more. But hey, I got other ways to deal with them, so I'm okay with those. So yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll catch you guys again next time.